I'm going to warn you right now that this episode is going to make you question every story that you've ever told yourself. The power of this episode is determined by how open you are to challenging yourself and what you believe to be true. We're not talking about other people's beliefs today. We're talking about the limiting stories that we tell ourselves that hold us back from getting everything we've ever wanted. Throughout our lives, we gather evidence on why we can or cannot do something. Sometimes we don't even know we're making choices or giving up our power or ignoring what we truly want because of them. We build our own invisible cages around these beliefs, with these beliefs, without realizing the door is always open and we have wings to fly out whenever we want. This episode is focusing in on limiting beliefs. What are they? Why do we have them? Where did they come from? And how the heck do we shed these stories to move forward with what we want in this life? Not only am I going to teach you how to do all of that and how to shatter these beliefs, but I'm going to show you how to rewrite these stories that we keep telling ourselves to actually serve you and empower you to get the life that you dream of, the one that you deserve, and the one that you want. My name's Vanessa, and this is the Mystic Within podcast, a podcast designed for women reconnecting with their purpose, their power, and their intuition, one honest conversation at a time. Let's get into this big topic today. There's a lot of information that I'm about to share, but if you take what I'm saying and apply it to your life, you're going to literally be unstoppable. Limiting beliefs are really tricky because they pry on our biggest fears, our feelings of lack, and are usually shaped by traumas, our upbringings, what we feel about ourselves, what stories we feel that are ingrained in who we are. But I'm here to tell you, limiting beliefs isn't about who we are. The limiting beliefs are shaped through the experiences we have or what we think we deserve. But on the other side of these beliefs is a version of you that's completely unstoppable. That version of you is empowered and understands that these stories don't actually hold value. We've just been telling them over and over in our head for so long, we take them as truth. We have the ability to actually use these limiting stories to help guide us to see how we can better support ourselves with something that's aligned and authentic to who we actually are. So what even is a limiting belief? It's actually a very powerful label. It's powerful because we all experience it, and when we can name something, we can better understand it. Limiting beliefs don't shape our character, our spirit, or our souls. What they do is they influence how we see ourselves and what we're capable of. Just a basic belief is just a mental state or an attitude of holding something to be true. We believe it's true. There's no actual physical evidence usually on why we believe something's true, but we have conviction behind it. When we get into limiting beliefs for a story, what that is a false, self-imposed barrier, mental barrier, that we accept as absolute truth. We don't even question it. We don't challenge it if it's true or not. We just simply have a belief in it, on a limitation that we're experiencing. Again, these limiting beliefs can be real sneaky because they sound so real. And again, we accept them as facts. We don't even try to wonder if it's different. We believe them like we're saying the sky's blue. Limiting beliefs force us to feel small and create doubts within our being. But deep down, limiting beliefs have pure intentions, whether we believe that or not. These stories that we tell ourselves that are so damaging are actually trying to protect us from emotional pain, rejection, or failure from the past with every experience you've had. Although they feel sinister, they come from a pure place. And it's usually a defense mechanism of some kind, whether we realize it or not. I can sit here for hours listing out a bunch of limiting beliefs, but here's a few that might sound like you, because they certainly have sounded like me. Ready? I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have enough experience for that. I'll never find my purpose. No one's ever going to love me. No one's ever going to accept me. I can't change. I'm just like that. I can't do that. I don't have enough money for that. I'm not smart enough. Well, everyone's already doing that. Again, the list can go on, and you start to realize how often in a day you limit yourself with one of those phrases or something aligned to it. And those are usually the first line of defense and the persistent defense against your intuition, what you know is for you, what your soul is calling you towards. Your limiting beliefs will not, they're trying to protect you. But what they don't realize is they're overbearing parents. And that's not going to work in a life where you need to experience it for yourself. You need to go the extra mile to follow what that inner voice, that inner power is calling you to do. If you can in this moment, I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you right now to think about if you could be anything in this world, no limits, what would it be? What does this dream version of you look like, sound like, behave like? What do they want? If you could do this without any fears, money isn't an object. There's no judgment. There's no shame around what you want. Nothing. It's purely bliss without barriers. With that vision in mind, with that life and that version of you, what would have to happen to step into that person? And what is stopping you? Everything you just thought about on what's stopping you are your limiting beliefs, because you can envision that dream, that version of yourself for a reason, right? You can see it. That is a real version of you living right now. You just listed out all of your limiting beliefs. So phase one's done. Now we're aware. All of those reasons that you just gave yourself all stem from the stories that you continuously say to yourself or the experiences that have shaped you. I want you to keep those beliefs at the forefront of your mind as we go through our conversation today. There's no shame around them. There's no judgment. I simply want you to observe that they are present. They are there. Now I want to dive into where exactly do these limiting beliefs even come from? How do we get so attached to these stories that we tell ourselves? Well, there's a few reasons why limiting beliefs even come to be. And I'm going to give you 4 seconds right now to think about the first reason. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if you said childhood experiences, you would be right. Childhood experiences usually shape how we are going to be as adults, shape our fundamental, foundational ways that we're going to see ourselves, see other people, experience life. So childhood experiences obviously are going to begin and write the stories that we're going to tell ourselves. If we grew up in a home that constantly said that we are unworthy, you might grow up and feel like you're unworthy to share your opinions, or you're unworthy to show up fully. Everything that's happening in those childhood experiences are translating into how we're adults. And now it's our responsibility to unlearn, which is part of life. What falls under childhood experiences? Parental messaging, early programming. So things that we're told without even questioning it because we're children and we don't know to question anything. Any criticism you've received from parents or adults. Unresolved trauma, which again, trauma is a word that people want to shy away from, but there's different forms of trauma. It doesn't have to be big T trauma, which are bigger, larger forms of trauma. They could be smaller forms of trauma. But there's a range of how those things are expressed in the world, but those are painful emotional moments that shape how you show up. Childhood lays the groundwork for adulthood. And again, we don't know at the time that all of these things are actually about to affect us for a long while until we can gain confidence and control to fix them, I put in quotes, or change them to serve us better. But our limiting beliefs and stories can stem from little you and how they've experienced life and how they've wanted to protect themselves. Number 2, oh my gosh, you guys know I love her. Fear and protection mechanisms. That's right. Fear loves to be on my podcast. Fear is like my number 1 co-host. Love her. She's always here with me. She always just seems to pop up when I'm talking about, barriers to break when living your dream life. But yes, fear is a way that these beliefs are rooted into our system. And these stories, again, are written in our lives. Past failures. If we failed at something once, we want to protect ourselves from failing again. Our brain tells us, no, it's not safe to try again because you're going to fail again. And we can't go through that. So then you start creating stories based off that. Well, I'm a failure. I can't try that. I can't do that. I can't aim to be this. We want to avoid being vulnerable. We don't want to be vulnerable. Believing I'm not good enough actually stops you from trying again, and it protects you from feeling disappointed or shameful or judged. But being vulnerable is part of trying. And that's why it's so scary. If we tell ourselves I'm not good enough, then it gives us the out. Yep, I'm not good enough. And we're allowed to accept that and not try, not live the life that we want. That's sad. And we should be questioning that. But again, when you're fully in these stories, when you're the main character of these limiting stories, you're not questioning. You're going with the ride. You're writing the story right along. You're like, yep, can't do it. You're right. We don't question it. Again, limiting belief is a false mental barrier and belief system that we don't question. And we take it as absolute truth. We like to be in our comfort zone. So we are biased when we're thinking about our patterns and we're thinking about our beliefs about ourselves. The brain is going to prefer a familiar pattern over you trying something brand new that it's never experienced. It's creating resistance to change because it's safer to stay where you are than to go to the unknown. But what you need to understand at this point is the unknown might be your dream life. You're going to stay in the comfort zone your whole life while you're staring at this unknown that we don't know if it's risky or not, yet you might get the best life that you could have ever imagined. You might become the best version of yourself that you've ever wanted. You're going to stay in the comfort zone. Okay. Number 3, on where limiting beliefs come from. Social conditioning. Sometimes our families and our cultures and generations of our people telling us that you can't do something is actually so influential and it's so powerful that we take it in as our own story and we don't question it. Another thing is negative feedback. If your grade 2 teacher told you you're not a fast runner and now you feel like you are not enough. I think we all have a story of when an authority figure when we were a child or something, or a boss when you're coming into your career or new school or whatever, told you something and you're like, I'm never going to forget that. That shaped fundamentally who I am. And now you have a story based off it. Now you have a belief about yourself that you're not enough or you're not good enough or you're not XYZ enough. And you know what? The mind is so powerful because again, we try to confirm our biases. If you feel like you're not enough, now you're trying to find evidence on where you're not enough until you're proved right. And then you can say, well, I told you. I'm not enough. Again, we take it as absolute truth when in reality, we should be questioning why we feel that way in the first place. It's not funny. These things are not funny in nature, but it's funny what us humans do to try to convince ourselves to stay put, especially when we're miserable. Some people feel like they need to be ready to change, but ready is not a feeling. It's a decision. It's an aligned decision. And it's usually the first decision that you make before the whole rest of your life changes. You keep having to say that to yourself. Ready is not a choice. Ready is a decision that I'm making right now. I'm ready. I'm doing it. I'm going to have to learn along the way. But when you keep telling yourself, I can't change. No, I need to be ready to change. That's a procrastination from becoming who you need to be, especially when you want it. So now we know what a limiting belief is. We know why we might have them. There's a whole list on why you might have a limiting belief, but those are the core things. And I have amazing news because obviously these stories and beliefs affect you, whether you believe it or not, whether you're conscious of it or it's a subconscious thing that happens, but we can actually change them. Yep. I didn't know this for a long time. I thought that was just how I was. But we can actually change the story because we're the authors and we forget. We're the bird that can fly out of the open cage. You can change them as long as you have 3 core things. Number 1, awareness. Are you aware even that it's a limiting thought? Here's how to become aware. First of all, we just did the exercise, so you probably have a few already that you're thinking of. But when you have an opportunity present, an opportunity to change, an opportunity to become better, an opportunity to evolve in some case scenario, what is the thought right after? And if it is a thought that says, I can't, it's impossible, no, it couldn't be me, anything in opposition that makes you feel triggered in the sense that you're not enough, you're not safe, that's your belief. What are you taking as absolute truth that feels like it's holding you back? That's a limiting belief. What is a theme in your life that's constantly been there? You settle for relationships, you settle at your job, or you're a people pleaser. Those all have a theme in common. You don't feel like you deserve more. So what story is that coming from? You know, this is how we start becoming aware. And I don't want you to be aware and judge yourself. I don't want you to bring all of these feelings, emotions, stories, beliefs up and shame yourself because these are so natural. No one gets out of this world unscathed with limiting beliefs. We all have some type of limiting belief. But as we grow, we can free ourselves. And that's the most pleasing, amazing, wonderful experience ever where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't need to be chained to these things. What I've felt about myself my whole life, I can change and step into something that's outside of this belief. Yay. If you need hope, there it is. You don't need to be chained to them. I want you to just observe the limiting belief, the limiting story that you've told yourself. Become conscious of it, become aware. Number 2, I need you to have courage. These limiting stories and beliefs can be rooted deep. These can go all the way to your childhood. These can go all the way to generations back in your family that have been told over and over. Limiting beliefs can feel powerful, but what's more powerful is your ability to watch them, observe them, and say, I don't believe that to be true. I don't believe that to be true. Where's the evidence of that? Or was that just one thing that someone made me feel once that I've carried throughout my life? Is that an experience I had that made me feel bad about myself or create some bias opinion on myself? Changing limiting beliefs takes inner strength, because what you're about to do is challenge everything you've ever thought about yourself. And you're asking yourself to show up more, bigger, better. That's scary. That's threatening if you've lived your entire life feeling like you're never going to change. And it's like, well, yeah, you can change. I'm telling you, you can. You're now telling yourself you can. So what's about to change? I'm telling you, on the other side of these beliefs, you're becoming unstoppable. When you can look at a belief that limits who you are, limits your spirit, limits your power, and you can say, that's not true. What you just did is shattered that. You just broke it in half. And your brain's like, well, we're not feeling safe anymore. And sometimes that freedom can feel threatening. But again, that's a limit you're putting upon yourself. What does this world look like when you're not repeating these stories that are meant to keep you small, that are meant to keep you in a comfort zone, that are meant to scope for evidence to keep you exactly where you are? Number 3, it's time for action. This is when I need you to root in your power. If you don't know what your power is, you don't need to be like Spider-Man. You don't need to be a superhero. All you need to do is come inside yourself and have faith that you're meant for more. Now it's time to get there. How does the person looking at that, envisioning that, close the gap from here to there? Now we're aware of the things that are limiting us. We're finding our courage to actually face them and be open to change and changing our thoughts and changing our way of being. We're rooting in our power of knowing that you can do it. And there's a reason you're seeing it. And now we're actually going to tackle them and have action. This is a practice, period. It's a practice. You have to persist. You have to practice at doing this. I'm not expecting you, and nor do I even. Every day I'm perfect thinking, yay, I still have limiting stories and beliefs that I have to face every day, and I have to challenge them. And that's where the action comes in. Limiting beliefs feel like absolute truths that we don't question. We don't challenge. So what are we going to do? We're going to start challenging them. You have a new job opportunity, and automatically you're saying, I don't think I'm capable of doing it. I don't think I'm good enough to do it. I don't think I'm smart enough to do it. I don't have enough experience. There's one word that's going to save you. Why? Why aren't you smart enough? You wouldn't have had the opportunity if it wasn't for you, right? Worst case, you're going to get there and be like, I'm out of my league. And guess what? You're going to learn. You're going to learn quick. You're going to have mentors. You're going to have people to help you. You're going to have opportunities to expand. So that one's gone. You don't have enough experience. Well, they wouldn't be considering you for a new job opportunity if they weren't considering you for the job. Okay, apply. Maybe they don't have your resume yet. Apply. You're definitely not going to get it if you don't apply. You might get it if you do. Maybe you're not right for that role, but they have another one. Why are we limiting ourselves before we even try, before we even do anything? We have preconceived ideas about who we are and what we're capable of. And again, what happens when we knock those barriers down? Ooh, that's challenging. Now we're asking ourselves a lot. And that's good because that means we're growing. That means we're being open to our power. This is like one of those topics I'm getting like a lot of emotions because it is so powerful. We are the worst. Like maybe that's a limiting belief, but we put so many restraints on ourselves when in reality, we're here to explore and we're here to test things out and we're here to live a unique experience. Like it's so powerful when you can reclaim your stories. And that's exactly what challenging your beliefs and stories do for you. It brings you into an empowered state. Because if you shatter one belief, what's stopping the other one? You start challenging what is stopping you from getting you what you want. These beliefs, these stories, the power of why. You ask yourself why. Why? Dig. Every time a question comes up, why? Then you sit with it. You sit with it and you accept it. And then You rewrite it. Whatever the direct opposite of it is the rewrite. I'm not worthy. I am worthy. And you say it with conviction. That's what manifesting is. You constantly persist in this new story now, new belief. I am worthy, because the feelings of unworthiness came from when you were a child. And again, you were told you were XYZ, and now that translated into you feeling unworthy. When we can go from believing and limiting belief with absolutely no evidence, absolute truth, into even questioning if it is true, you're rewriting the story already, because you're creating cracks in that story. And these are hard to change at some points. But even that feels like a limiting belief. It feels hard because they've been ingrained in how we operate. If you grew up unsafe and feeling insecure and feeling like you didn't have foundations, that you're going to grow up feeling unsafe. Or maybe that's one of your stories or beliefs. You change it to, I am safe now. I am safe now. I am safe now. And you root in that. You persist. So you keep saying it until you believe it, until you are living a life where you are feeling completely calm and peaceful and safe in your environment. That is how you have to change these things. It takes courage. It takes you challenging it. And it takes awareness of where these things even came from, what you're even feeling, because these limiting beliefs are tricky. They're slimy. They're going to try to get in every nook and cranny that you have, but they are here to try to protect you. If you were a child feeling unsafe, yeah, you made a bunch of stories and you had beliefs that supported you feeling unsafe. You being with this person didn't feel safe, or you doing this didn't feel safe. You grow up and here you are playing that out. How do these stories and beliefs serve you now? They're very easy to cling on to. They're the way we've thought about things for so many years, or the way we've experienced life for so many years. But what's on the opposite side of that? Be open to that. Be open to what's on the opposite side of it. Be open to seeing a version of yourself without these chains and shackles of these beliefs. They're so powerful. A lot of the ideas and content pieces and things that I speak about all relate back to how powerful our mind truly is. The essence of everything I speak about is in direct correlation to that. The way that we think is shaping the life that we live. So that's why this topic is so deep for me, because limiting beliefs, limiting stories play out in our mind, play out in how we speak, how we see ourselves. And the mind is where the change happens. And that can be very overwhelming, because how do you change a thought? How do you experience a change in that? They hold influence in the physical reality we're experiencing, holds influence in our moods, in our attitudes, in the rest of our beliefs, in what we think we're capable of being, experiencing. That feeling where when you're thinking positive, when everything's going right and you're thinking positive, you're walking down the street and someone smiles at you and someone buys your coffee behind you, and it's like a cartoon. Like, you're so happy. People are more open to you. You're more open to the world. But when you're going through some type of negative experience, I don't even like to use the word positive and negative, but when you're going through a negative way of thinking, so you're, say, in a depression, you're in a downslope, you feel bad, something had happened that made you kind of feel like crap, we start to allow those thoughts to creep in. And then you start experiencing your thoughts and everything in reality be in light of that. Your thoughts can be conscious and subconscious. So you can be aware of them, or they could be something playing out that you're not even aware. You're operating on just a gear on a hamster wheel. We can be aware of these crappy thoughts we're having and be conscious of them. Or we can, again, just have these stories running through our mind like they're hired to be there, because they're so deep rooted and we don't even question them, because we think they're just part of who we are. But that's a subconscious belief that we have about ourselves, or a limiting belief that's in our subconscious. It lives there. It has a house there. It loves it. It's not going nowhere until you start, getting them out. Over the course of my spiritual journey, my Reiki mastership, my studies in energy work, and how to manifest and teachings and my own experience with that, and now helping other people, I've grown so much awareness for not only how thoughts work, but how energy influences us. And I have come to a few conclusions, and I probably will for the rest of my life. When I first heard our thoughts manifest, I wanted to ball up and disappear because as someone who struggled and struggles with overthinking, ruminating thoughts, that was an absolute nightmare. Because what do you mean these horrible, scary thoughts that I'm feeling, my anxious thoughts, these depressed thoughts are going to be coming into my life if I keep thinking about them? So what I did is I overcorrected. I started putting so much space between me and these thoughts that scared me, these thoughts that made me outside of my body. They were all my fears, all of these limiting beliefs I had that I was so scared and petrified they were going to come into my life. It became a very dangerous way of existing. And it created so many more limiting beliefs because I pushed them so far down. I created so much space. What I didn't realize at the time is I actually had to bring them forward. I had to actually bring them closer to my spirit and my energy and face them. Instead of trying to shove them in a closet and make them not exist, they exist. They existed. They're part of my experience. And it was part of my experience facing them. If you relate to that and you are on a stuck cycle of thoughts, I want you to be introduced to neutrality. This helped me incredibly throughout my experience, throughout me manifesting. It created so much space between me and resistance. I wasn't resisting anymore. I was allowing thoughts to come in and out without feeling stuck, without getting on the hamster wheel. Thoughts are not good or bad. There's no such thing. They are simply there. They don't mirror who we are. We observe them. I want you to start thinking of your thoughts as clouds. You are sitting on a grassy hill and the thoughts just pass you by. They don't mean anything. They literally hold no power until you become intentional with them, until you get stuck on the thought and it starts controlling you. That's not how thoughts are meant to play out. We have millions of thoughts in the course of a week. Some are conscious, some are not. When I had a scary thought, and if you have a scary thought, what you're going to do is allow that cloud to pass. When you start putting emotions and you start getting wrapped up, you're never going to outthink a thought. You're not going to think about other things that are going to distract you from that thought. If I say, don't think about a banana, what are you thinking about? You're thinking about a banana. So if I say, don't think about that, what are you going to continue to do? You're going to continue to think about that. Don't think about your limiting beliefs. All you're thinking about is how you can't do it. Instead of that, okay, I'm having this thought and it doesn't mean anything. And the cloud is passing. They hold no weight until you put value to it. They're simply passing by. And that's it. I want to just speak about my own limiting beliefs, and you can probably relate. Building a business, Mystic Within, and this podcast where I'm the forefront of what I'm doing is challenging every belief I've ever had about myself. Am I worthy enough to do this? Do I have the expertise to inspire others, to heal something in other people? Do I have enough courage to follow the vision that I know 100% is for me? I'm building this despite my fears. Me doing this is proving all of those things wrong. What happened is the regret of not following my intuition at the end of my life, of not doing this, became stronger than the fear of actually doing it. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do it. So I had to get over myself more ways than one. And that included facing so many of these stories that I've told myself for so many years about myself. And this is a constant effort. This isn't something that's naturally gone away, but it's human and it's real. And it's something I experience, and I'm sure you experience it too. Hence why I'm talking about it right now. This experience is in direct opposition to everything I believed about myself. Me doing this is the evidence I always wanted and craved, that it's not true. Those stories weren't true. I'm courageously going after what I want, and I'm standing in my power right now. It's incredible. It's amazing. And I'm excited, and it's inspiring me, and I'm hoping it's inspiring you. And I know with time and consistency and persistence in what I want, I'm going to see the life that I envision for myself. It challenges everything. And again, this is scary, but I create neutrality. I'm allowed to be scared, and I'm still doing it. I implore you to create a neutral space in your own head. You're going to live with yourself the rest of your life. So creating a safe space up here where you can have thoughts that scare you, have thoughts that feel restricting, and be able to face them and change them is going to be a lifesaver for you. You have to keep doing it to get better at it. Very beginning of each year, I set an intention with one word on what the energy of the year feels like for me. And this year, the word was soar. Mind you, January, Vanessa, was exhausted. I was so tired of being complicit to a life that I didn't want to live. I didn't want to be in that life. I felt unworthy of my vision, but I hadn't even tried to ever go after it. Even with the strong vision and gut feeling that I was meant to do more, it felt unattainable to me. Those were all limiting beliefs. I was constantly in between where I was and yearning for more, wanting to go after it, not knowing if I could or I hadn't even tried. I always had this vision. For many years, and it got potent at the beginning of 2026. I had this vision of me having so much momentum and I'm running off a cliff. I'm just sprinting and I see the cliff's edge and I'm ready to jump. And at the very last second, I chicken out and I back up and I'd be so scared. In 2026, when I finally woke up to the fact, like, I can't live like this. I'm done. I have nothing, right? I have nothing to lose, is the year I ran off the cliff. I always expected I was going to jump off this cliff and fall on my face like a cartoon character, splat on the ground. But what I didn't realize is I had wings. I had wings the entire time. I was never going to fall. I was always going to fly. And I was always going to soar. All I had is the trust that I was going to be okay. Trusting that the wind beneath me that's carrying me right now is going to get me to where I need to be. It takes faith to know that you can change. It takes immense belief in yourself to know that you can change these beliefs and stories. You can rewrite them. You just have to jump off your own cliff. A limiting belief is going to try and keep you exactly where you are. Even if you're sad or depressed or anxious or you are stuck, that's familiar. It's not going to try to change and get you out of there to somewhere less familiar. You are the person who's going to say, I've had enough. No one's about to come and tell you that. You are telling yourself that. Once you start challenging your beliefs and you start making decisions that's in alignment with the new story that you've created, you've just reclaimed your life. You've changed everything. You've stepped fully into your power when you can honor your heart and what you want in your mind and change your thoughts. You're stepping directly into your power. You're taking your life back from these stories that do nothing for you beyond try to protect you. It's not protecting you at this point of your life. It's limiting you, hence the name. It's harming you. If you know you're meant for more, you are. And if you have a billion beliefs and stories that feel absolutely true, that you're not challenging whatsoever, that's telling you no, those are chains holding you to the ground. That's an anchor. You have to challenge them. You have to allow them to pass and still persist in your new belief. Again, you're allowed to have these things resurface, but it's how you deal with them. It's how you decide you want to align with your new life. And you're totally capable of doing it. As we are ending the episode today, this was a heavy one, but it's so powerful. I want you to remember the limiting beliefs that you came across at the beginning of the episode when I asked you about that dream life and existence, because I have a new question for you. Who are you on the other side of those beliefs? The one who knows they are worthy, the one who knows it's never too late on their timeline, the one version of you who can do it, the one who feels secure, the one who feels safe, the one who feels accepted, the person and version of you who is fully loved. What does that feel like? And if you feel freer, even by a little bit, I want you to know that version of yourself, that's the truest version of you. It is a version of you who is free from all of these invisible barriers and stories that we've persisted in. It's the version of you that has everything they want. That is you. And these limiting stories and beliefs do not need to define you. And after today, they will not. If you listen to what I've said, come back to this video whenever you need it. Give yourself permission to be free from these old stories. You're allowed to write new stories. Release yourself from these beliefs that's holding you back from getting everything you deserve. They might have been here along the ride thus far, for a long time maybe, but they don't have to come any further with you. I believe in your power. I believe that you can do this. I believe in your vision. I do. And I know you can do it. As we are wrapping up here, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. I release new podcast episodes every Wednesday. Go follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so we can stay connected. We can keep having these amazing conversations. I am so excited. Go follow me on Instagram, TikTok. I post a bunch of content, a bunch of manifesting content, a bunch of feminine empowerment content. We are diving deeper in our thoughts, our power, our intuition, how to listen to our inner voice better in the next few weeks of content. I'm so excited. If you are interested in working with me directly on one-on-one coaching or a soul alignment session, so an in-depth energy and tarot reading, the link will be in the bio. You can discover and check out whatever you want. I am here for you. I'm here to support you. And I am so excited to have another conversation next Wednesday. I love you so much. Thanks for listening if you've made it all the way down here. And I hope you've learned some valuable information. Share it with a friend, share it with your family, share it with your dog. Do whatever you got to do to get this message across, because this is life-changing stuff, guys. And I am so proud of you for listening. Have an amazing week, and I love you. Bye.